Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatsMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, today we've got a map which isn't just a real-life location, but a more or less one-to-one recreation of that real-life location. Now, normal one-to-one recreations of real-life locations don't always make for the best maps, but I think today's one does kind of break through. It isn't the finely polished, finished article that some of you are going to be looking for, and the creator definitely has a little bit of trouble with their water. Don't mean that in a personal way, but you will see that the rivers and streams kind of aren't quite that beautiful finished article. But if you're not looking for a beautiful finished article but a decent playable map, well, maybe hitting that like button is the thing to do. Thank you as always for your ongoing support with the channel, everybody. Right, today's map is Hakodate, Japan by Moch. The temptation to go into a dreadful Japanese accent and to insult half of the Pacific Ring. Probably best not to. There's your start square, and we've got an intersection there which is for gameplay purposes only. It's not a real life take there. We've got terrain heights which look pretty damned realistic, so I'm going to be quite happy with those. And then the resources, a bit of farming, and we've got a little bit of forestry, a little bit of oil. Ah, come on, the bits are there, aren't they? Lovely. And then if you want to do some sushi making, we're going to have a lot of shellfish and a little bit of anchovies. Okay, right. We're off. We're off to the workshop to find that we need absolutely nothing. It's a 100% vanilla map. We'll be using the Vanilla Boreal theme and the realistic 1.2 LUT, which I know isn't vanilla, but it's the one that we always use. As you see here, we've got the real life coordinates. So I kind of skipped down to Google Earth and we've done a bit of cross comparison, which you will see in today's show. Now, forget the highway on the right. We'll be coming back up that highway. We're going to go down the coast road instead. Now, as I did say that it's not the finished, highly polished article that some of you might want, and it does kind of show along the coast here. On the right is the airport. We're not even going to be really looking at the airport today. I think you know what to expect. It's quite nicely polished, actually, the airport. Compared to the coast, it's really quite nicely done. I mean, yeah, maybe it's supposed to be a slightly rocky coast. I didn't look at the coast, if I'm honest with you. I did look at the harbour, but I didn't look along the coast. But yeah, as highways go, it's equidistant, it's clean, it follows the route of the coast road, more or less, I would say, from what I can tell. But yes, we're going to skip over the rivers for now. The rivers, see, the fill seems a little bit low. I'm not bothered actually by the fill level. Having had a look, they are quite deep, concrete supported, so they're kind of somewhere between a canal and a river. And that, I'm suggesting, is probably from when we have the wet season, because we do know that Japan has things like tornadoes and stuff off of that big old body of water. What's that? That's the Pacific Pond, isn't it, I feel? And yeah, and once that comes in, hits the mountains, there's a lot of water coming down, and there has to be an outlet. So these rivers are quite low fill, but that would be realistic. Whether they are clean and polished is a different story, but well, we've got to have something to do when we're doing our city build, haven't we? And I have told you in advance, this is not going to be a finely polished, finely tuned map. It's just going to be a good, playable, one-to-one, a realistic location. So that's what we got. And the highways are pretty well laid, I've got to say that. We're coming up to the start square intersection. I did mention at the start of the show that this is for gameplay purposes only. It isn't like this in a real life, so if you want to do your own city build, nothing to do with Hakodate, then you could use this, or you can get rid of it and recreate the actual location. It's completely down to you. Now today we've got a lovely set of assets from one of my favourites. When I say one of my favourites, I think most of our favourites now, because we're getting trees, we're getting rocks, and we're getting maps, and Greyflame, one of the finest. One of the absolute finest. This is the Hardwood Tree Pack. I don't think it looks its best with the theme and LUT combo we've got today. But you can head on over to the workshop, subscribe to them. I think they're well worth having. A set of 6 different sorts of trees, and they're hardwood, and they are by Greyflame. And that's all you need to know. Right, factoids because factoids. Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond, who was born on this day, the 28th of May in 1908. Though his famous secret agent could never be called a saint, there was a church in Toronto, Canada called the St. James Bond United Church. I've done a bit more research there. It was demolished in 2006 and it was a merger between a James Street and a Bond Street church congregations, and that's what happened there anyway. So anyway, Hardwood Tree Pack. I've done so much research today. Hardwood Tree Pack by Greyflame. Thank you. Slight delay. Today's asset pack of the day. Now, I don't normally do this much research. The good news, though, for those of you worried about me and the social isolation, I know one or two of you do. A lot of you don't have the time for that, and I don't blame you. I certainly wouldn't worry about me if I was you. But for those of you that are, I am returning to work on the 15th of June. So I've got a few more weeks, another 2.5 maybe weeks. But I will be gearing up to go back to a routine. So hopefully I can squeeze out a couple more tutorials and extra stuff for you in the meantime. So yes, it's going to be good to get back into a routine of seeing my regulars and just saying hi to people that know me and tolerate me. Ah, yes. Also coming up to a bit of a landmark as well during the isolation process, and that is with very nearly up to 1,000 subscribers during the social isolation. Okay, right, this intersection, have a little look at that. We'll be having a look at that in the second half of today's show from Google, and it is a recreation. But we're going to go back along this highway, and we're going to be asking questions like, elevated highway? Really? All the way out here away from the city centre. Pillar placement in the river there, questionable of course, and there are lots of things that we could question. But yeah, is it all the way elevated? Would it come down to ground? Would there be any tunnels? All of these and a million other questions will be resolved in the second half of today's show. But yes, during the social isolation, where I have been pretty much on my own, I mean, 6 days a week, pretty much just rattling around on my own. I love it. And the 7th day I do some chores, caring for the elderly. Hey mum, I know you're not watching this, but if you happen to be, there's a little shout out for you. I'll be down on Saturday with your goodies. Anyway, yes, we'll God love your parents, haven't you? You don't have them forever. You don't. And we'll carry on. We're heading down towards the edge of the map and where the fog would begin, but we'll be having a look at this highway in Google Earth coming up shortly. Now, there are rail connections, which surprised me a little bit. I don't know why I was surprised, actually. Japan clearly does have a very famous rail network, but this one, it's fine. It comes in from the edge of the map. There's a couple of little river crossing there. It goes underneath the highway over here. It's got a little bit of loose tree lining, just to add a little bit of basic detailing. Kind of enough, I feel. Without the tree detailing, it would be a little bit lost, and it just helps you to line those lines, I guess. That's all. Heading down in towards the start square-ish. Actually, a little way out from the start square. I shall shush. I thought we were there. No, this is it. We've got a split in the line here. Again, taken from the real life, and so you can do what you like with that. They merge back in together. Catenary placement is absolutely fine on that too. We're going to go underneath the start square intersection into the start square and the bay and the harbour. So maybe this could be a nice little industrial line. Probably what it is, actually, I would think. And we've got everybody's favourite factory down here as well. Everybody's favourite factory.
Do you have trouble knowing how to start a new city? Do you need to return to the absolute basics just this once? Don't worry, I won't tell. Then you need BonBonB's Beginner's Guide to Your First City. Click the information button now.
And so back to Hakodate, Japan by Moch, and we have a shipping route. Shipping route goes along around the peninsula here. We will note that there's a split in the shipping route there with an acute angle, and a split with an acute angle here, and they don't link up anywhere closer out towards the edge of the map. So we will have some sharp turning ships, like we could just do with a little curve on there for ships that want to go from one to the other. We also do go out to the edge of the map over here as well, but we go into and out of the harbour. Now, checking the shipping routes on Google Earth, they do actually go in that narrow pass. They don't loop around, and we're going to have looping shipping like this. Back out, not pretty, up there, and sharp turn back out. It's not the best of shipping routes, I'm going to be honest with you. I would have got rid of that one that comes in this end here and just had the one going in the middle. Water flow. Now the water is in the harbour and it's kind of bordered off by that seawall, and which means we have no water flow here. So if you're pumping out sewage and drawing, just beware. Just be very, very aware. Okay, be alert. The world needs alerts at this time. Okay, we have a glorious, loving the shape of this one. I think that's what caught my eye as much as anything. On the peninsula we got a mountain, and you know what we have on this mountain actually? In real life, we have a cable car. So if you've got the DLC that gives you the cable car, this is going to be a great map for wheeling out your cable car. There's everybody's favourite factory, but we're going to ignore that. We're going to come over here. We've got some interesting shapes here, and I've done my research, okay? Right, this big old one down here, this is actually a horse circuit, a horse racing circuit. Okay, it's been drawn out as, this is just sort of like a visual thing in it. It's just to say, this is where your horses are racing. This is a military base of some sort, the land defence, or whatever they call themselves, because I'm not strictly big on armies at the moment. And then this here is a velodrome. And again, well, I kind of see why we've done this as a ditch, as a velodrome. It's fine. It's just more placeholders than anything. It's fine. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but they are accurate and they are there. Oh, we better have a look at these rivers, having gone crazy on the rivers and saying, no. Right, so we've got concrete ditches, basically, quite deep. And we've got a lot of trees just clinging onto the sides. When I say concrete ditches, I mean in real life concrete ditches. So this isn't too bad. It's following a reasonable route, but it just looks a bit clunky and a bit gluggy, doesn't it? And of course, with it being as it is, with the not level base, the bottom of the river, it's just going to be a bit gloopy, sadly. And that's the weakest thing on the whole map. It's the weakest thing on the whole map. You're not going to get an awful lot of water flow. That doesn't really matter so much, but it's not pretty. And when you're building around it, it won't look. This is pretty. And Google Earth shows this to actually have a water-filled moat. I don't know why we don't have water in that moat. I think that would add something quite special. Could be done, you know. Could be done. A few little minor lights placements. Anyway, we were going to have a little look at this side. So this is your intersection that I promised we were going to have a look at. We will switch to the real life version of this in a moment, and we'll spend a couple of minutes going down this highway in Google Earth, promising you, actually, this is the best part of today's show. Get rid of that, thank you. Right, so we've got, there's your intersection. See, I promised you, it does look like that. It's a good job. Right, we want to swing this the other way, so let me rotate that way. We're going to go probably 3D mode to be a better move. There you go. Right, we're just going to follow the highway up. Now, we were talking, is this elevated all the way? Well, no, it isn't, but it's actually non-existent. Now, this was actually taken according to Google's time date stamp on there this year, 2020. Look at this. Look at this. We've even got drainage in place there, drainage under there, and they promised there was a lot of water coming off of those hills, pillars, and more. It's just I'm finding this fascinating. Look how far it's been cleared. I think there's going to be an intersection in this location here, by the looks of it, because it does continue up this way, but it also looks like it's going to continue this way, up past the golf course, and there's like another golf course and up there. I feel that there's an intersection going in down here. Anyway, we've got going into a tunnel under the golf course, emerging over here, and I kind of lose track of where it's going down in this kind of neck down here. But we are really close to the airport. So I suspect that is going to come down, probably down the side of the airport and off into the fog, which is basically where we were. Okay. All right. So let's have a little look at these rivers. As we go up into the mountains look great. The mountains look really, really good. But the rivers going up the mountains are really heavily gouged. I do have a tutorial showing how to make realistic rivers. And if you're watching this, Moch, might be worth checking that out, my realistic river tutorial. I'll try to remember to link it in at the end of the show. Anyway, what do you think of this map? What do you think? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. What do I think? I think I like it. I just don't think that it will be a top 10 map for the month. But prove me wrong. As always, prove me wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Well, we're wrong all the time, just occasionally. Aesthetically, it looks like the real life location. I think it's been done quite well. It needs a bit of, if this had a little bit of polish to it, it'd be a 4-star map. As it is, it's getting a 3. It's held back by the rivers somewhat. Detailing's fine actually. It's a realistic recreation and with a little nod to placeholders and stuff. I still don't feel it's a 4-star map, but it's getting a very solid 3. A good credible 3 there. Gameplay potential. Look, it's playable. It's playable. Water flow might be a problem, but I don't think it's a game breaker. Maybe it is a little bit, but it is for me. But I'm going 3 stars. I'm going 3 stars. It's playable, and it is what it is. Hakodate Japan by Moch. Look, if you want to do a recreation of a city, that is going to be a good one. That is in the genre that it's in. That is in the higher divisions. Not necessarily the very best one, but that is way better than some of the others by some bigger name creators I'm not going to mention because I wouldn't dare do that. I wouldn't dare do. I've never done a 1-to-1, so I'm not even going to. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. And we'll catch you tomorrow for another map in the What Map series. Thanks for watching.